inevitable.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're gonna hear about it.
Just a flesh wound. Look, stop that, chicken!
You're listening to The Review on the OSG Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody. Oh, excuse me.
There's the way to start a show.
Let's do that again.
Oh,
Take two.
no, let's not.
Take two.
Keep it going.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Review. This is the OSG College Football Show, where we talk about the latest news, notes, nuggets, and things left unsaid in the wonderful world of college football. The introductory voice, of course, the one and only legend himself, Mr. Tommy Palmer. We are the online sports guys. I am OSG Phil. He is OSG Nelson, and he is Jay Wilkerson, 16. We comprise 3 members of the OSG sports team, and we love talking about college football. Hopefully you will too. We got a lot to talk about this week, guys. Probably the top story of the week is we're hearing about schools as players return to campus, voluntary workouts beginning to resume, and we've got players turning up with positive tests for the COVID. Is this going to detour things? Is it going to slow down the process? Is it going to get us to where we're going to have to kind of reset? Or are we moving forward full steam ahead?
Go, Nelson.
Thank you. All right. So we've only seen one conference so far, the Pac-12, with a plan. That, to me, is what is the most concerning in all of this. Don't get me started on SMU, because that's probably a show in and of itself. But this is why we have protocols in place. This is why you have testing procedures. So I still think that if you are looking at the college football schedule as it is, right now you're still in voluntary workouts. So you're still in that window where you can monitor your athletes and figure out where to go from here. So that's the larger thing for me is, all right, you have the positive tests, and how do you treat your student athletes from this moment forward? When are your follow-up tests? How long are they in quarantine? Is it 7 days? Is it 10? Is it 14? Is it 2 negative tests after X amount of days in the period? I want to know what the testing procedures and the follow-up procedures are to make sure that the student athletes are healthy. I think that right now, because we're discussing it in late June, as opposed to a month from now, I still think that it's as normal as possible when it comes to calendars and timetables. I don't necessarily think that everything is completely and totally off the rails. Oh my God, you know, running around with your hair on fire about a schedule or anything. So, yeah, Wilkie, for me, it's all about how you take care of your student athletes from here, how you monitor your workouts from here, and how you take it from this particular moment in time, because we still have time for athletes to get healthy and possibly have the antibodies and be ready for a season on time.
Yeah, I see that as well. I also see it, and we see that LSU and Texas and Clemson are all having some COVID cases. And I think we're way early in the process right now before any distinctions can be made as far as the season. As far as I'm concerned, the season's full steam ahead. There's nothing here that alarms me. I think the CDC protocol is 14-day quarantine, and I think that's all that really needs to be done. I know 30 players from LSU, I believe, were tested positive for COVID. 23 football players from Clemson tested for COVID. They're in the 14-day quarantine, and to me, that's all you need to do with college athletes, 18 to 23 years old, because when you look at the CDC stats on COVID cases within that age range, we're more concerned about deaths, and the deaths are very, very nominal in that age range as far as deaths from COVID. In fact, when you go deeper into the numbers and deeper into the statistics, you'll find out that the college athletes or college kids within that age range are more likely to die from the flu than from COVID. So I think right now the proper procedures, and you move on.
Two things there, though, and you're right that it's not something that is a potential fatal issue for any college athlete at this point in time. The issue is more transmitting it to family members or somebody being around somebody that would get infected. But John, you brought up a really good point and something else that I wanted to bring up when we talked about the impact of all this, and that's the testing procedures. As word came out this weekend that UCLA players have gone public
Yeah, they're not
with
happy.
their
They
concerns
are
over
not happy.
Chip Kelly's staff testing them.
Yeah.
Is that something that we haven't heard this from any other school? Maybe it's just isolated to UCLA and Chip Kelly. But should we be concerned about this if players are already questioning the methods, that somebody's just going to say, whatever, we'll say we're doing this, but we're going to play it. I don't care really what happens, that kind of a thing?
Well, I think that what you're seeing out of UCLA is a byproduct of the current state of the program. And when you have, and we'll get into other cases of this as we go, but if you don't have the locker room, and if your student athletes are not fans of your coaching style, your coaching demeanor, your coaching staff, your philosophy, that kind of stuff, then the level of mistrust that you have is amplified. And I think that when you have a locker room like UCLA's apparently is, you're going to end up with something like this. And if the student athletes at UCLA are this concerned about their own personal health and well-being that they want an independent third party to come in and monitor the situation, I think the larger picture here is that, Wilkie, where was Chip Kelly on the list when you went through the hot seat a couple of weeks ago? Where was he?
I think he was number one, wasn't he?
Yeah. So what did we
No, he was number two behind his counterpart at USC, Clay Helton.
Okay, so what did he was Ghost Pepper, I think?
Yes, Ghost Pepper.
Okay, so Chip Kelly right now coming into this particular season was on the Ghost Pepper hot seat. Where is he now? Is it Joe versus the volcano hot seat? I mean, what are we looking at here, Wilkie? Because this is it's a larger picture of the whole dynamic at UCLA when your student athletes have such a level of distrust of you and your staff that you want a third party to come in. He was Ghost Pepper now. It's got to be Joe versus the volcano.
I would say a combo of hot lava and Ghost Pepper, which is probably, can you go beyond nuclear? I don't know. I mean, I think we need some kind of physicist from Georgia Tech to tell us. Chernobyl, there you go. I find it interesting. I find it interesting that Dorian Thompson-Robinson tweeted out on Friday he's supporting Coach Kelly, and that Coach Kelly has agreed to all the demands from the UCLA players. So obviously when you read into that, you kind of see that some of the star players are taking up for the coach that recruited them.
Yeah.
But to me, this screams of more of the advocacy of college athletes now. And now they've found their voice. Yeah. And as far as the social media aspect and a media that will listening is not the right word, but will report on, allow them to be heard. And, just on the surface for me, you guys know I'm all for what's great for the players. Mm-hmm. The imaging, getting some kind of compensation for what they have to put into, not only for the educational standpoint of getting their degrees and all the demands that entails, but also the demands of their chosen sport, especially in football, men's basketball, women's basketball, where there's a lot of commitment to your craft, to your sport. Not to say that the other ones aren't. Those are just the ones that are most recognizable. Baseball as well. Those are the ones
closest to being revenue generators.
Yeah. So I don't want that to be misconstrued. The soccer players, all those, they work their tails off. But Those are the ones that seem to have the revenue producing. I just think whatever's good for the players, but when you get into the advocacy part, now you're starting to pick sides, and that bothers me a little bit because now you're dealing with 18 to 23-year-old kids who have not totally matured yet. And I understand there's stands you want to take, but you're also got your whole future ahead of you. And for the most part, if you're in those revenue producing sports, you have a shot, especially at the major college level, you have a shot to really make a great income, a great living, not only for yourself, but for generations beyond that. And I just don't know if there's the understanding of the risks involved. I would say if you're a fifth year professional and you've got that second contract, well, maybe the advocacy can become more
engaging. Because, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, and this is, when you come through what Wilkie's thinking about here, I guess think about it this way. If you are if you're a college athlete, say at UCLA, or insert school here, then if you end up being a part of what is going on at UCLA, how does this look on a resume? If it's an extreme case, then I mean, and Wilkie, I was trying to amplify your point. If you were like in the fifth year of your work schedule, if you were in the fifth year of your professional career, regardless of what it is, if you were in the fifth year of a widget factory, then how does this look on a resume if you're still building your resume at this particular widget factory, and you have something like this that's going on at UCLA pop up on it? Do you get an unnecessary label? Do you get labeled? How does this impact you when it comes to your job and everything like that? So I understand where you're coming from, because how does this look on a resume for someone who is 23, 24 years old when you're chasing after that first gig in the real world, if you're a part of something like this at UCLA? I think that's where you were going with this, and I understand you completely.
Exactly. That's what I'm going. You got to understand the brain at that age, I don't think is mature enough or fully developed enough. And again, I'm no neurosurgeon or any kind of thing like that. But I'm just going on my experience when I was that age, and I think we were all pretty damn immature. And it's okay to have your causes, but I don't know if I hesitate to say the radical advocacy is really the chosen place when you've got your whole future ahead of you, and you've got a chance to really do something for your family, for your parents, for your kids. And generations after you to take care of them. And you've got this rare talent, and you have a voice, and you use it to the best of your ability, but think about the impact. And again, I just don't think kids that age, I wasn't when I was that age. I never thought about the impact, how it's going to impact me when now that I'm in my early 50s.
I thought you were 39.
I'm 39 for the 15th year in a row, something like that. Can't do the math. But I know you get my point. And again, I'm whatever helps the college athlete, I'm for.
Guys, before we get moving on to the next topic, time to do a little self-promotion here.
Attaboy.
If you like what you hear, if you like the content, if you want to hear a little bit more about sports, you can download the OSG Sports phone app. It's free. That's right. No cost at all.
Zero.
Free, as John shows you the Google version, available on Android phones. There is also an iTunes version or an Apple version that you can get at the Apple Store.
There you go.
Download it today. Get all of our content, plus content from our good friends at barnburner.ca up north in Canada. And you can't miss it. It will tell you anytime a new show drops. Guys, feeding off of what we talked about going into the little promotional break there, there was a little dust up this week at Oklahoma State
Is that little? Are you underselling?
I understate sometimes. And it came basically out of a photo of Oklahoma State football coach Mike Gundy wearing a shirt supporting a somewhat fringe cable news network, and it got under the skin of his star running back Chuba Hubbard and created
Yes, sir. Kerfuffle.
Wilkie talked a lot about guys speaking up. A lot of players spoke up about this. The two sides seem to have come to an understanding and kind of patch things up. Is this something to kind of keep an eye out on out in Oklahoma this year? I was surprised that there was quite that much blowback about it.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
And I think that it goes back to the point that we were discussing about Chip Kelly.
Right.
And I think that really, if you are Mike Gundy and you are the staff at Oklahoma State, you've got a lot of bridge building to do. And I know that there were public statements that came out, and Chuba Hubbard said that, in the joint statement, the initial joint statement that came out with Gundy and Chuba, he said that Hubbard admitted that he should have gone to coach first, and instead of voicing his concerns through social media first. And then Mike Gundy had his apologies. He did multiple apologies that appeared on your favorite sports platforms. But once again, you're going to have a lot of bridge building here, because when you have your star running back say what he said on social media, when you have your offensive line, who is there to block for said running back, come out in support of the running back on social media, when you have other players on that same roster come out in support. Once again, we've gotten into the whole activism idea in the show, and what we're seeing right now from a lot of folks, regardless of age, demo, and things like that. But I think that we have to keep. So I guess this will be my question for Wilkie when it comes to this particular segment. Where was Gundy on the hot seat list?
I want to say he was top 25.
Okay.
He wasn't as high as I expected.
Okay. So I'm guessing because of what went on, his stock probably has increased when it comes to that particular the hot seat list. So I would say if the season goes south, and of course, once again, we're talking about something late June, mid-June, late June, leading into a college football season, I think that you just have to, you wonder about the bridge building, and he's got a lot of it to do. So it is a situation, I think, Wilkie, that we have to monitor this year in Stillwater and see what happens. Because if Gundy is 6-6, goes to a minor bowl below 500, if he's 5-7, something like that, then I think that there are going to be a lot of questions in Stillwater, regardless of what has gone on here in the month of June.
To me, this is just I hesitate to call it comedy of errors, but there's to me, it's a lot of comedy involved. I'm just picturing Mike Gundy getting ready to go on a fishing trip with his boys and a friend, and picking out a T-shirt that day to wear, and just getting a random picture taken with after the trip, and he's wearing an OAN T-shirt, and next thing you know, it's on Twitter, and all because he picked a T-shirt that he may have gotten as from a booster or from the network itself. Who knows? I mean, he just randomly picked a T-shirt. I don't think he actively went, I think I want to wear my. Well, I got to do an Oklahoma accent if I'm going to do Mike Gundy. I think I'm going to put on that OAM T-shirt. Yep. And to me, it's it's much ado about nothing to me. Did Chuba Hubbard, any of those guys actually watch the OAN network? It cost you $5 a month to do it, by the way. I mean, there's some video stuff out there. I watched a couple of it just to educate myself.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these that watches news network. Sorry. So I just kind of educated myself, and they are right leaning. So be it. Yeah. But the fact that wearing a T-shirt just absolutely rankled his players, especially Chuba Hubbard, who, by the way, is Canadian.
Yes.
Just bothers me quite a bit. I'm wearing a Boston Fire Department T-shirt right now, and I'm sure the FDNY, including my father-in-law, is probably rankled with me right now for wearing a Boston Fire Department T-shirt.
But you admitted something before we went on the air about it, though.
Exactly. But I'm just talking about the just the
Presence.
comedy of it all. It's a T-shirt. I mean, that's how I look at it. And as far as the locker room, maybe with one of the three of us can have a private conversation with our buddy Barry Trammell at the Oklahoman, because I think he would have a much better perspective on this than we would. And it's he's a cowboy. He wears he likes that mullet to flow. He's an Oklahoman to the core. Yeah. And I've got family members in Oklahoma, and they're very much Mike Gundy types. So I know exactly kind of personality he is, because I got some family members that live in the Tulsa and Oklahoma City area. They're very close, cousins and uncles and aunts and so forth. So, I mean, that's how I look at it. I just think he picked a rare T-shirt, and look what happened.
Is this something, though, that we should be watching out for over the course of the season? Because it seems like everybody's sensitivities are kind of a little bit on edge.
I think they are heightened, yes.
I do, because I just think there's so much fear out there. And I think we all know who is perpetuating that fear. And I'm not going to go on record to say who it is, but you guys can. But we all know where that fear is coming from. And it's coming from multiple sources. And this is again, I'm going to go back to the immature brains of 18 to 23-year-olds. That's who we're talking about, mainly, guys. And again, I just say, did anybody bother to watch or dive into some of the OAN stuff? That's all I'm saying. Like I did. But I just think this is a byproduct of all the fear that's being perpetuated out there.
Yeah, and I think my question is more of an overall, not just a specific to this incident, because I think there's so many people that are so sensitive to so many different topics right now that for a coach unintentionally to do something or say something without even realizing the implication of what they're saying. And then I think the problem here in some respects, and I worry that if it comes up again, that the same problem is going to come up, is a lack of communication between the two parties. And by that, I mean players and coaches. If there's an issue, they need to talk it out first before going public with it. And that's a concern. That's something that I don't want to see flare up, because it's going to create a problem, whether there's a problem there or a bigger problem or a smaller problem. A coach and a player, if they have an issue with one of them does, what a player does, it irritates a coach, or what a coach does, it irritates a player. The two of them need to have that conversation first. And if they can't resolve it, then there's a different path to go. But right now they got to resolve it.
It's tough to do that in the age of social media. It's too easy to get on the keyboard and blurt out there to the masses out there that I'm not happy with this. So I hear what you're saying, Phil, but in the age of social media, it's impossible anymore to do that. The only thing coaches can do, and administrators and universities can do, is to ban the players from any kind of social media. And now you're talking about a class action lawsuit and freedom of speech issues. Right. And then constitutionally they can't do that. Yeah. No, this is the way things are. And I think we're starting to see the byproduct of going around authority and having that voice and watching it pick up wildfire.
Well, and once again, in the initial statement that Coach Gundy and Chuba Hubbard had, Chuba apologized for going to social media first instead of talking it over with his coach. I think, honestly, where Oklahoma State is concerned, I think that they ought to be concerned about mediocrity on the football field and continuing to finish 7-6 more than what's going on right now. I think that once again, if they finish 5-7, if they finish 6-6, go to a minor bowl, have a problem, go to the Texas Bowl or something like that. That's what I would be concerned about more than just as much heading into the college football season with what we've seen over the last week and a half.
Good jumping off place here for the halftime break. Guys, when we come back, we got a lot still to talk about, including the renaming of a college football bowl game, two Power 5 powerhouses preparing to square off in just a couple of years during the regular season. That and a whole lot more when we return for the second half of the review. You are listening to the review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Russians don't take a dump, son, without a plan.
The online sports guys would love to hear from you. Go to our Twitter page at OSG Sports for a comment, rant, or just whatever's on your mind about college football.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
Would you like some more pancakes?
Thanks for sticking around, everybody. You have made it to the second half of the review. It's the OSG Sports College Football Podcast. For those of you who don't know how to find us, we are on social media. It's really, really easy to find us. Just look up OSG Sports on Facebook. Look us up on Twitter. Same place, same handle. If you're watching this, you've probably already found us on YouTube at, again, OSG Sports. Our Twitter handles will pop up on the bottom of the screen here as I edit the show. Jay Wilkerson 16, OSG Nelson, OSG Phil.
Check.
We are the Online Sports Guys, and don't forget theonlinesportsguys.com, the website where you'll hear about stuff not necessarily always about sports or college football, but definitely my thoughts on pretty much anything going on in the great, big, wide, wonderful world of
Stuff.
World. Guys, as we start the second block, we got a few news, notes, and nuggets to get through here.
I got a few nosy things.
Yeah, a few of those too. Interesting thing that's popped up here in the last day or so. Looks like we're going to get to see Ohio State versus Alabama, the regular season battle.
I don't care.
When do they start playing?
2027 and 2028, they go
That's
home
why
and home
I don't
in Tuscaloosa
care.
and in Columbus.
Remind me in 2026.
So will Nick Saban still be there?
No.
Will Ryan Day be at Ohio State?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Saban, no, only
So,
because he's 72 now.
Let's look at some 6th grade and 7th grade quarterbacks
Yes.
in the Ohio area. And
Alabama.
John, when you're down in Lower Alabama, you can see what the 6th and 7th grade quarterbacks look like that might have potential to play at Alabama.
Yeah. Let's see if there's somebody at Homewood or McAdory that's going to stay close to home.
But do you like this as opposed to Alabama playing Troy
They're still going to do that.
or some other?
Oh, I love the matchup. I mean, it's just, here we are, 2020.
But that's how far they make the schedule.
I know that.
Wake me up in 2026.
But everybody's excited about them finally playing. I want to see them playing this September.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome.
I think there's a good chance we're going to see him play come January if we get a season in.
Yeah, but okay, neutral site, but wouldn't you love to see the
Yes.
Tide roll into the horseshoe and the Buckeyes marching into Bryant Denny? I mean, to me, that's worth the price of admission right
Dot
there.
the I in Bryant Denny.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Wake me in
I'd like-
2026. I don't care right now. Fantastic that you got it on the schedule. Wake me in 2026 about it.
Well, it's better than some of the games that we've talked about here in the past that are scheduled for like 2031 and 2.
Wake me in 2030 for those.
Yeah. Long time from now.
Care. Don't care.
Also on the agenda, another big Power 5 conference announcing that they're going to do their media days virtually. The ACC has announced this week that they will be doing video conferencing for all of their media days, which makes the entire Power 5. And I think this is kind of going to be a growing trend. And guys, to be honest with you,
it started.
Yeah, I think that once this cat's now out of the bag, I don't see any reason for it to go back in. Do you?
Unless there's the contracts with the rights holders. I mean, you're not giving programming to the ACC network. You're not giving programming to the SEC.
But are you?
Yeah, you're still getting the programming to the networks. What's really affecting everybody else. I mean, the local TV stations won't be doing their live shots anymore from that venue. Writers won't have that one-on-one.
Coaches in lobbies trying to
Yeah,
get
exactly.
But how much of that one-on-one time are they now getting?
Not a whole lot anymore. I mean, it's policed a lot more than it was when 10 years ago when we all looked forward to it because we always got a brand new polo. We always got some kind of Dick's Sporting Goods coupon and a hat from a bowl game and all sorts of media prizes. You got some one-on-one time with coaches and players. Heck, at ACC and even the SEC, when I first went in 1995, I mean, you sat there at dinner with these guys, or you played golf with these guys, and so you kind of got access to them off the record, and they got to know you a little better. And that's not happening anymore. The other thing too is there was some profitability for those conferences, for those events.
Mm-hmm.
And now that the networks have taken over, they were seeing some of that money flowing in for those broadcasts, but doing virtually. I think it's a sign of the times. I don't think you're going to see media gathering at a hotel somewhere. Now think of the hotel industry now. They've just lost a huge partner or weekend for their business.
Yeah, whatever city is chosen to be the location on a given year.
I mean, I would go to the Westin in Charlotte every year, and we all used to go to the Winfrey in Birmingham, and they're losing that income too. So yeah, I think this is how it's going to be from now on.
You know what I would do if I was a local news director or sports director? I would still take my sports team to that hotel and do the live shots and do the presentations from the hotel and do it as an inside joke to the whole thing.
It's not a bad idea.
Do the live shot. I mean, go to the Winfrey and you're outside of the Winfrey. But by the way, and you're just rolling the sound bites, it's got a Zoom logo in the low right-hand corner. Do it as a complete and total work.
Yeah, I wrote about this on theonlinesportsguys.com over the past week. And I really agree with Wilkie. I think as much as we would like to be able to say that this is a continuing tradition, one of the many historical things that college football has always done, I think the day in the era of it happening may be at an end here. I just don't. How do you justify the cost, particularly in a situation like this, where in a lot of cases you already have some access to these coaches and players in the off season? I mean, if you go through the sports media department for pretty much any of these schools, there's a pretty good chance you can get a little bit of time with the coach or one of the players who might be on campus. In this season, it might be a little different just because of the quarantine situation. But I know I worked at a TV station, and I know we've been getting that access, and we've been getting Zoom calls and things like that, and turning content. So the content's there. That was the primary driving force behind it at the beginning of July. But really, at the beginning of July, you're talking about what, 3 weeks before the season starts, or the practice season starts.
Yeah.
And then you do it all over again because you're going to practice and you're getting access to coaches and players and everybody 3 weeks after you went to media days. So you're basically talking about an event that kind of duplicated itself. So,
well, as somebody who worked in local television myself for a number of years at an SEC school,
Yep.
I just remember going to media days, and this is in the salad days of the middle 90s, and going to the Sheridan in Birmingham and being in that, they had like 5 or 6 breakout rooms for local television. You shared it with 4 different, and you got mileage out of it. All the schools came in. That was content for us up until kickoff.
Yeah.
As far as the other SEC schools that we could use, and it was huge for us simply for us to had to do a 45-minute weekend show on Saturday and Sunday. So those days are over now, and even if you do it virtually, you don't have, I don't know, it's something different. If we were doing this podcast like we used to, the 3 of us gathered around Phil's house over there, it just has a totally different feel than how we do it now.
It does.
And I think that element is missing when you do it virtually.
No question.
And you can't establish a relationship. Like I established a great relationship with David Cutcliffe through media days. I've got to know a number of coaches and players. One that comes to mind is James Conner with the Steelers. And I think you know what I'm getting at. You're going to miss that.
That energy is missing.
oh yeah,
That energy is missing. And then you can only take that content so far, where we kind of had that control when we had the breakout room. So, look, I understand this is the way it is when you've got conferences with their own networks. This is programming for them, and they're paying a lot of money for that to rent that conference's content. So it's the way it is now, guys.
Evolution.
And I feel sorry for the kids that are coming up.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to miss out on a unique experience. It was funny. I just had a flashback, Wilkie, when you were talking about getting those asides about walking across the hallway at the Winfrey with a pack of cameras around me surrounding Mark Richt, and I'm right next to him, and he turns around and he looks at me and he says, "Oh, hey Phil, how you doing? You having a good weekend?"
Mark Richt has lost control of the Winfrey.
Hey, last year he was surrounded by a bunch, he was working for the ACC network last year, and he was surrounded by a bunch of those muckety mucks, and I was just kind of walked around picking up something, I guess because we're eating breakfast, and he just kind of walked away from those guys. "John, how you doing?" And but that just tells you what kind of guy Coach Richt was. Yeah. But those are the things that the kids are coming up in media today are going to miss. They're never going to have that odd time where you're standing next to an escalator at the Winfrey, and here comes Nick Saban ascending up, and with a horde of media behind him in the escalator, nodding at you and saying hi to you. And a guy from WBRC who I knew turned around and just looked at me and said, "Jesus has arrived."
Yes.
You're not going to have those moments anymore, which is sad. The other thing to me, as I digress about these media days, is you get to see guys from other stations, other media outlets that you've had relationships with. They were former coworkers or you established relationships with. And that was part of the fun as well. Seeing those guys that you saw every year.
You might not get to talk to them when you're working a game because you're busy the whole time.
Yes. There's that camaraderie, the friendships that you develop. And again, those things are invaluable when you work in that business, and it's going away. So again, I feel sorry for the young kids that are coming up, because I'm glad the 3 of us worked in that era in local television where you actually went to the events, that you actually gathered your own content, and you got to know people, the coaches, the players, on a more than a professional level. Again, those days are over.
And the
Oh, the behind the scenes
folks.
stuff. And behind the scenes stuff that we saw that we really can't talk about in this format.
Phil Fulmer getting
Correct.
served. Last thing on my
I'm
list.
thinking about some other things though, but I digress.
Yeah, because we can't say those things that you're
Yes.
thinking about,
Yes.
but we can mention Phil Fulmer getting served.
Yes.
Last thing on my list of stuff for this week. We've got a new bowl game in Charlotte taking over for the Belk Bowl. It's now renamed the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
Okay, all right. I heard about this. Now, I have to ask the two of you, since you two are the grill masters here on the show. When it comes to mayonnaise, I have actually heard that Southerners prefer using Duke's because it has a different constitution and a different ingredient base than, say, a Hellman's or anything else. Are you guys in that same vein of using Duke's over other mayo?
I don't do mayo, so I
don't do it as much as I used to, but we always have some in the house, and we don't buy anything else.
Okay.
We are brand loyal, taste loyal, whatever you want to call it. But there's an infinite amount of jokes to be made.
If they now, would you in a +1 mix the winner of the Idaho Potato Bowl and the winner of the Duke's Bowl, so you could
potato salad bowl?
Yes, so you could mix your fries into the mayonnaise. And if they don't, if the winning team does not dunk their coach with a Gatorade cooler filled with mayo and do the slow dunk, you have failed as a football team.
Yeah, except it would take too long. They'd be running out they would have run out of the field, gotten the trophy, come back, and they still would be coming out.
You've got to plan a little sooner. You've got to make sure that you're out there making sure that your coach doesn't move. I mean, you got to do this with you got to plot this with 3 minutes left in the game and just stand behind him and start tilting it to where it gets to that point. So then when you can pin him down, that mayonnaise is just going to absolutely coat him like the green slime out of. You can't do that on television like Nickelodeon. It is an I don't know moment, but you've got to have a lot.
And if it's a warm day in Charlotte, I'm sure that mayo is going to smell and feel awesome.
Yeah, by the way, another Southern tradition that I highly recommend: 2 slices of wheat bread, some Duke's mayo, and sliced tomato with a little bit of salt on it.
Yeah,
Nothing better.
Well, you and Keekly apparently both, because that was the promo that Keekly ran, promoting the bowl game.
All right. So what is the players' swag out of this?
Well, it's mayonnaise.
Of course.
It's a
because
lifetime,
when it was the Belk Bowl,
mayonnaise.
well, they got like a $500 shopping spree
At Belk?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you ended up with like a lot of stuff.
I forget the Arkansas player that actually got caught shoplifting during that when they played Virginia Tech in the Belk Bowl.
Efforting. Oh my God.
I know who it is, but I don't want to say his name if I'm wrong.
But if it's public, then it's public. So let me look for it.
You look for it.
Back.
I think it was a tight end.
Shoplifting.
Anyway,
yeah,
that's got to be a pretty weak swag bag for players.
The game has tie-ins with
Jeremy Sprinkle.
I thought it was Jeremy Sprinkle, but I didn't want to say anything.
Shoplifting by concealment released after Tuesday's incident. Suspended by the Razorbacks. You're $450 to spend in 90 minutes at Belk as a part of your bowl game swag. Arkansas had their shopping spree, and so Sprinkle attempted to shoplift 8 items worth $260 from the store. This is December 29, 2016, by the way. Yeah. So, Jeremy Sprinkle, who was sorry the next day after being suspended from the Belk.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure he was.
It's Belk. You're given 200. You're given.
They don't have Belks in Arkansas. That's probably why.
You're given a $450 shopping cart to go to Belk, and you shoplift $260 worth of stuff.
It's okay, John. Nobody's gonna be shoplifting any mayo.
It's all right.
If you shoplift mayo, that'll be interesting because mayo you can't mold. It's in the can. Mayo is it's in a can. It's going to be like that and like that. So how are you going to be able to shoplift?
How would you go on a shopping spree at a grocery store before a football game anyway?
Animal House. Remember what happened there?
But they couldn't take it home with them because most of the food was perishable.
I'm just waiting to see if the mustard and ketchup industry is going to be very pissed off about that. And
The Heinz Bowl in
Heinz
Pittsburgh?
Bowl.
Heinz Bowl.
Heinz should absolutely combat it. Do the bowl game in Myrtle Beach.
Heinz Bowl in Pittsburgh would be pretty frigid.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh, the Heinz Bowl in Pittsburgh. Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
Where can we play the mustard bowl?
Well, no, Heinz mustard and ketchup. You have all the Heinz condiments together, the relish, all that stuff. You do the Heinz Bowl in Pittsburgh. That's perfect. You've done
Complete with mascots.
Yes. And you do the mascot races with the mustard, the ketchup, and the relish, and they're all going from one end of the field to the other. We've solved condiment wars for college football bowl games. You've done it.
So one end zone would be painted red, one end zone would be painted yellow, and the relish would be on the 50.
And the field is green because of the relish.
Yeah, you put the relish on the 50.
See?
Either way.
That's great. You've done it. Fantastic. Carly Simon. Carly Simon is your halftime entertainment.
Anticipation.
Yes.
So I could get mustard, ketchup, and relish, but hold the mayo.
Well, unless you want to make sure that you got a flight plan to get from Pittsburgh to Charlotte in time to get it all, because
way too complicated here, John.
Here's what you do, Wilkie. What you do is you have the Heinz Bowl early in the day, and that gives yourself another couple hours, because Belk Bowl is usually at night, or now Duke's Bowl will be usually late afternoon or later on. So, I mean, the Heinz Bowl to me would be one that's early in the schedule. Belk Bowl is usually 29th, 30th, 31st. So I think you'll be okay. As long as the Heinz Bowl is scheduled earlier, then you'll be all right. You'll get all your condiments, and your pantry will be stacked by New Year's.
Guys, you got anything else here before we wrap up the show?
I think condiment wars in college football is just really kind of put the icing on the cake on that one.
And the Idaho Potato Bowl, because you got to have a place for your fries. I'm not wrong.
No,
there's always a bag of Cheez-Its for the Cheez-It Bowl.
Oh, that's true.
There's no bowl sponsored by a hamburger or hot dog, though, is there?
No. Omaha Steaks would be a great sponsor of a bowl game.
Yes, it would. That would be a bowl game with a lot of sizzle to it.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
But then there's the Outback. But you get the Outback Bowl.
Yeah, the Outback Bowl, yeah.
Yeah, you can't use condiments on an Outback steak.
No.
Sacrilegious.
No, you can't combine the Heinz Bowl and the Outback Bowl. You have the Heinz Bowl early in the day, and then you take all the condiments left over and you fly to Tampa, and you can't put them on a steak. No, it doesn't happen.
Okay, guys, I think on that note, maybe we'll go ahead and wrap things up.
Promo! Hit the promo before we go.
Yes, it's promo time. Send in the promo. Once again, download our phone app. Please download our phone app. It really is free. It doesn't cost you anything but a couple of minutes of time. John just showed you the Android version.
Yes.
This is the Apple version for the iPhone. Go to Google Play. Go to the Apple Store. Look up OSG Sports. We will pop up. It really is us. The app is really free. Find us on Twitter. Find us on Facebook. Find us on YouTube at OSG Sports. Am I leaving anything out?
YouTube channel.
What's that?
YouTube website.
No, I did the YouTube. I'm leaving out Zingo.
Oh, yeah, Zingo. Okay, let me get them up real quick.
Zingo.tv, I believe is the name of the app. Is that correct?
Download their app as well. So the programming airs right here, Wednesday afternoons. And the college football show airs, for starters, Wednesday afternoons, goes all over the place, and it airs throughout the week on Zingo TV, Channel 250 on the Barn Burner Network. And Soccer Down Here is the late night programming on Zingo from 11 p.m. until the show ends, which is after 1 a.m. So don't forget to download the Zingo TV app as well, so you can catch us on Barn Burner, Channel 250, starting Wednesday afternoons.
And quickly saying Soccer Down Here, for those of you who don't know, is Brother John and Jason Longshore and
the other channel of the network. Download that app too while you're at it.
And a whole cast of characters talking soccer.
Yes.
Guys, thanks for tuning in for another week of shows. Going to say goodbye now. We've covered a lot of ground, everything from the serious to the condiments, and everything in between. For OSG Nelson and for Jay Wilkerson 16, I am OSG Phil. We are the online sports guys. Thanks for tuning in. We will catch you again next week. Have a great one, everybody.
Heinz Bowl, make it happen.